Hey, welcome to our Learn and Grow call with Nick Santo, also known as the musical recording artist Santo.
Nice.
Hey,
I like
am
it.
I the first one to introduce you like that?
Yeah, you are. I
Nice. So, welcome
like it.
to a Learn and Grow call with Nick. Many of you who are going to be watching this call have had the opportunity to meet Nick, whether it's at the Breckenridge event or it was at another event that you've seen Nick at, or maybe it was the Go Abundance event. And we are super excited about having Nick as part of not only our Learn and Grow call series, we're just so grateful that Nick is part of our community. It's
Thanks.
uh, it's really
I'm
just an
grateful.
honor,
I'm grateful.
man, to be your friend, to be a witness to the legacy that you're creating, the opportunities that you're creating for other individuals all around the world to believe in themselves, to go after their goals, to have big dreams no matter what their circumstances are. So thank you for being part of this community and for being who you are, man.
Thank you, brother. I'm just like I said, I'm always grateful for the opportunity, but grateful to surround myself with amazing people like you. So I'm just happy. I'm chilling. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's start with gratitude. Let's start there. Uh, because we, as you know, Fambundance is all about building stronger, braver, more courageous families. I'm interested to know, what is it that you're most grateful for about your mom and dad?
So what I'm most grateful for my mom and dad is they chose to go against the grain. And so what I mean by that is like in 1996, like when I was born, people were institutionalized disabled people, right? And they were hiding them and they were, not really showing them. And my parents like made that decision of like, everyone's going to know who this is. Like, we're not only going to show them who Nick is, but spread awareness. And so like they, as soon as I was born, they got in touch with the New Jersey mayor and was like, this is baby Nicholas. And like got the whole community to support it. And just like, that's what I'm great. Like my parents, right? They just went against the grain, and then when they raised me, they just like treated me normal and let me get beat up, which was like super influential into my life. And so, I'm just grateful for my parents that they cultivated me the way I am.
And what has been I remember seeing you for the first time. I saw you, gosh, wow, it's only been a year this April.
Yeah,
That's amazing. It's only been a year this April. So
one
I
year
saw
on this
you
on this rock together.
on 1 year on the rock together, buddy. And the first time I saw you speak, your parents were in the audience for the first time watching you speak,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Uh, what did that feel like, being on a stage in front of 500 people with your mom and dad over there, watching you? What was going through your mind?
Yeah, it was an amazing time for me because when I moved away, right? They all live in New Jersey, and so like I'm keeping them filled in on the phones of like what I'm doing, and hey, I'm building the speaking company, and I'm going to speak at a car dealership, and Ratmir's cold calling people to see if they want me to speak. Like that was like you know we were in the beginning stages, kind of getting into the middle stages of that first year, and so that was an amazing time for me for that reason, and also that was the event that my parents found out that I was having suicidal thoughts because I never told them. And so they found out actually through that event because I never put it on them. And so like after that event, my parents kind of came up to me like teary-eyed and like, Nick, we had no idea. And I looked at them and I said, it's fine now because I'm like, oh, I'm all good now. Like I'm fulfilled. I'm on my path. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm glad I just had the opportunity to put you guys in the room so you could see me like burn it down. So that was a super special time for me for sure.
Oh man, that's awesome. And I want to jump to a question about your mom and dad and your relationship now. I'm going to hold off on that question and go
Okay.
directly into suicidal thoughts,
Yeah.
because I think if you're a human, it's really easy to have lots of thoughts, and sometimes those thoughts are empowering. Sometimes those thoughts are really disempowering.
Yeah.
When you look back on the time where you were having suicidal thoughts, what do you notice about where you were, who you were surrounding yourself with? What do you notice just in general?
The one thing, to be honest, that stands out to me the most was that I was out of shape. So I was out of shape. I was a chunky little monkey in middle school and high school. And my parents, the one thing they did do was they fed me anything I want, which I'm super grateful for that too. But like, anything I want. I wanted chocolate milk at 12 at night. Like I got chocolate milk at 12 at night. Um, But during those times, I think the confidence was a huge thing. But I've been talking about this a lot, and I've been on this kind of like rant. But like analyzing, like humans are like very disempowering creatures. Like just natural, our natural tendencies are very disempowering. What I mean by that is like we are primed our whole entire lives, like the news, like look how negative the news is, and like even the little things of the way your parents react to situations and the way they talk to people on the phone, like all of this stuff goes into play of programming your mind. Like if you don't think your kids are listening, but I promise you they're watching. They're 100% watching everything you do. But I don't like the suicidal thoughts. I think mostly stem from girls, to be honest. Like that was me. Because in middle school and high school, right, whichever way you go, you crave that opposite energy. Like that's humans. We want female energy. We want female love. We want masculine energy. We want masculine love. And so, you know, I was probably in sixth or seventh grade, and I was on the school bus, and I rode the short bus because of my wheelchair. And there was this girl just making fun of everyone. And, she was going down the line, just making fun of everyone. And I was like, oh man, she's going to have a field day with me. And, I still remember her name because it stood out to me the most. And when she got to me, she was like, I don't even have to start with you. You're already too messed up anyway. And that's exactly what she said to me. And I remember that as a seventh grade kid, and like thinking to myself, like, wow, that's how girls view me. That's how girls view me, that I'm disgusting. And so going back to how humans are so disempowering, like stacking. And so what stacking is like, brother James, you know what stacking is. With you can stack in a positive way and a negative way. And so what I mean by that is some days you'll notice you wake up and you start off on the wrong side of the bed, right? Something goes on early, like bad, and you tend to just get into this mode of you're nitpicking yourself and you're thinking about all the bad things and all the negative things that are happening in that day, because like you started off negative, and that's what your mind is trained to see, is all the negative stuff around you. And so the way to get out of that is to positive stack, right? And that's the exercise of self-reflecting and looking at all the wins you had in your life. What are you grateful? What are you proud of? And also the one thing I've realized is that the people who have a hard time finding a moment they're grateful for and finding a moment they're proud of, they struggle with self-reflection. So like that's a breakthrough in itself for people to be like, man, I had a hard time finding out what I was proud of. Well, that means you need to exercise that muscle more. Like you need to self-reflect on your wins, because even myself, like I get hard on myself, I get down, but like I had a hard time self-reflecting. And so that's the one thing that I've been incorporating in my life, is just like smelling the flowers a little bit more. But the suicidal thoughts stem from those girls. And I would stack the thoughts of, girls don't like me, they don't like me because I'm physically different. And how can I walk a girl to her locker? And if I get to the locker, I can't open her locker for her. And would she want to hold my finger because it's weird? Like, dude, like that's how we do. Like, that's how humans do. We dig ourselves into this super deep hole. And so that's what I would say was my biggest trigger.
Well, I took away two big things. One is, and it was what you hit on first, which is staying in shape and being physically feeling good has a direct correlation to the mental noise inside of your head.
Yeah, because that's what people need to realize is like mind and body, it's connected. Like this is one temple, right? And I like cars. So if you view your body as a Ferrari, and say you're performing like a Ferrari should in business, but you're not putting the right, like if you're putting regular gas into a Ferrari, how is that Ferrari going to perform? It's not going to perform like a Ferrari. And so like there are so many people, right?
Everybody else is still moving. Wait for it. Tyler, can you do some magic movements of your hands and then like Nick's gonna log back in. Oh, he was on a good roll. Mike McCarthy, take it away, buddy.
This break's brought to you by Fambundance.
A mastermind for families.
Have you ever wanted time away with your family?
Yes.
May 3rd, 6th is that time. If you wanted to be at a beautiful location in nature.
Sorry. That was my fault.
To the 6th. Join us.
Commercial break cut short. Back to our programming.
This break brought to you by Fan Abundance and Brother James.
My Wi-Fi turned it off. Sorry. But
No, dude, that's okay, man.
I'm just gonna jump on my phone.
Yeah,
Zoom.
dude.
But like,
go ahead and just keep on going.
Yeah, but like I was saying, like in life, right? You want to be wealthy. You want to be financially wealthy, but like, what is that wealth if you like die at 50? Like if you're not healthy, right? Like, yeah, it's scary. Like I saw her eyes open up, but like that's reality. And then on the other end, like, yeah, like I could be shredded and be great shape, but like I want something in my bank account. Like I want something to be able to provide for my family, right? And so it's that balance. It's that balance. And so I think, but like, dude, like that's the same. You know, if you can, you know, wear something that makes you feel good, or maybe it's like a certain like, you know, sweater someone gave you, but like when you feel good in the clothes you're in too, like you feel good. But I think at first it was just like feeling good in my body, and that was just getting in the gym, or that can be anything. It's just like going for a walk or doing yoga. I always say, like, if you're in a slump or if you're in a rut, like do one thing today that you know is going to evolve you into a better human, whether that you know, financially, anything, like reading a book. Like you could do little things, but humans love progression. So in those low moments, you're probably as in humans and within myself, like our lowest moments are the times that we're the most stagnant or not really doing anything, don't have much going on, especially for us hustlers, right? And so I always say, like, I have one thing, right? You do that one thing that's going to evolve you.
Absolutely, dude. And thanks for touching on that topic.
Dude, no worries. Like I'm telling you, like I view my life as like, if this interview, if this me opening up on a story can help someone, I'm in. Like, you know, it's not about me here. It's about the impact, you know, and that also requires you to drop your ego and just be like, hey, I struggle, because people want to, like, that's the secret sauce. Like people want to know the secret sauce. It's like how to connect with your fan base is being authentic, transparent, and showing up like as yourself every single time, and letting people know that, like, yeah, I may look like Energizer Bunny, but we all struggle with the same things up here. Like we're all the same.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, tell me, and when you say you struggle with certain things, and like people have a certain perception of you, and with that perception comes a certain amount of pressure to be a certain way.
A role. Yeah.
You're right. People see you as playing a role.
Yeah.
And then they expect that role to be played.
Yeah, all the time.
As you're evolving and you're consistently watching your fan base grow to all over the world.
I'm gonna give you your phone, so okay? So
how are you navigating the voices in your head how are you navigating those voices in your head and knowing that there are people out there that want you to play a role and that you still have to be Nick?
So how do I balance that?
Yeah, how do you balance that?
I've been taking just like more chill time for me. So I've realized, like, analyzing myself is like, it's extrovert, right? Like my role on stage, my role in public is an extrovert, right? Like I got to be like, you know, just like social, all up in people's faces, positive energy. But the way I recharge is being an introvert. Is like just like chilling, not doing anything, not talking to anyone, just like being like just doing my own thing, not worrying about anything. So the one thing that I'm doing is just have balance, and like, you know, when I go on tour and I'm Nick, right? And I'm Nick, you know, I'm on the stage, and then the meet and greets, and then I have to be that person all around the environment. But like, get me back to my room and let me just sit there and not move, because like I need my me time. And that's where like I view my life, you know, as a lantern or a lighthouse, right? And like I want to give, and I want to give as much light as I can to people, but I can only, if I don't do things that recharge myself, I can only give so much light. And so I think everyone should view themselves as a lighthouse, right? Because we're always trying to give, like moms, dads, like we're trying to give to our kids and our children, right? But like everyone needs their me time, you know, and I don't want people to feel bad for taking that me time, because you need that mental recharge. But that was like the case, you know, my whole life, even before speaking, right? People just was like, oh, you're this positive figure and this role model. And so I felt like I had this role, like someone handed me a baton and was like, this is your role. And so the reason why I didn't tell my parents about any of the negative stuff I was going through is because I knew that energy was contagious, and I just didn't want to put them through that stuff. Like I just wanted to keep it to myself. I mean, I was just filming for a docuseries, and I was interviewing my sister, and she was like, Nick, I was 2 doors down and I had no idea you wanted to take your life. Like, why? And I was like, energies can take, like, I didn't want to put that on other people. And that's why I went to school with a fake smile. And, hey, Nick, why are your eyes red? Well, I got soap in my eyes, but I was really crying in the shower. Like, I knew how to just finesse and not show people. And that's because I felt like I had that role, but I think maybe the thing that kind of helped me out was realizing that, like, superheroes have their low times, right? If people are always viewing you as this, positive figure, I think the best way to, balance with that is letting people know, like, you're not, like, no one's superhero, like, no one's on point, like Tony Robbins, any of these guys, they're not on point 100% of the time. Like, they have these low points. And so to break through to people and to teach people and inspire them and motivate them, but most importantly, shift their perspective, you need them to drop their barriers. You need them to get comfortable and be transparent in the room or in a call with you. And the way you do that is letting them know your struggles, like letting them know that you're not perfect. Like, that's the secret sauce.
I totally agree. And you said that there are because this call is recorded and is going to be sent out. I want to hit on that piece, something you just said right there and a little bit before, which is, in order to grow a community, in order to grow a fan base, a raving fan base, one of the things that you can do that will certainly draw in people that will be with you for a long time is being your authentic self.
Yeah, being your authentic self and expressing the stuff you're currently going through, or maybe the stuff you were going through in the past and how you overcame that. Because there are, like, whether you believe it or not, there are so many people like you in the aspect of they're struggling with the same things. And so, like, for example, in the music industry, like Logic, the guy who created the suicide hotline song, like, like the 1-800 song, like, if you go to a concert of Logic, like, you look into the crowd, it's not just one type of person. It's this diversified audience of just a bunch of kids and adults that have been going through some stuff that just connected because the rapper says, like, I'm going through this. Like, they're real. Like, they're showing you what you struggle with. They're not talking about money and how they shot someone and, like, all these negative things that are going in the rap industry. And so, like, whether you're a speaker, an artist, whatever it may be, like, people want to be with people that they want to be like or they connect with. And they'll listen to people that they are like or they want to be like. And so that's just, like, how it is. Just people want to connect with people and know that, like, they go through the same things. Like, that's so important.
No, and you mentioned your sister. And I don't know if you can see the screen, but we've got Emmy and Tyler right here, a brother and a sister. So totally relevant to ask you, how did you get along with your siblings as you were growing up? And looking back, how might you have been a better brother?
Ooh, I never got that question before. That's good. So looking back, so I learned a lot through this docuseries that my parents were talking about, like, questions that you usually don't ask them. And so one of the things that comes to mind is, like, my parents said, like, my siblings would be like, can we the rule for the dinner table was, once everyone's finished eating, then we can dismiss. Like, we have to wait until everyone's finished eating. And then, so they would be like, why are we still sitting here? And I would be eating. And I didn't know this story. Like, so, they would be like, can we leave? And be like, no, like, Nick's not finished eating. And so, they like learned, and, like, my parents said, like, when they brought me home from being born, like, nothing was said about the limbs. It was just, like, assumed clothes. Like, here, this is your brother. Like, this is what's good. But I guess over time they've realized that I was different, right? Like, oh man, like, it takes him a little bit longer to do things. And one of the things my dad did, I remember, like, my siblings were teasing me. I don't remember this, but my dad remembered this. But they were teasing me for taking too long or doing something right. And so my dad made them all get on their knees, and he tied one arm behind their back and then tied their 4 fingers and gave them one finger and said, now do what Nick does. And, like, talk about, like, a total smack in the face perspective shift for them, because they saw what I was actually going through and actually what I was doing. And so after that, like, they didn't really tease me anymore, and they kind of got what it was like to feel like, to be like Nick. But for, Emmy and Ty, it's just, I think the one thing that I could have been a better brother is just, being for them, even now, like, I can reach out to my siblings more, but I don't, like, I don't, that's just me. And so just, being that person to asking them, like, is there anything going on? Like, just, I have an ear, like I'm a good listener. Just listen to me. Like, what's going on? Or, even pattern interrupts of like, I've noticed that AI, like appreciative inquiry, is pattern interrupts because not many, like the majority of people aren't used to those questions, right? And
Right.
so like you
Right.
can ask your sister, you can ask your brother, instead of saying, how was your day? What was the best part of your day today and why? Boom, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
total pattern interrupt. And not only you asking that question is going to bring out a certain bring out a certain answer, but it's also going to like, they're going to use that in their armory, and they're going to be like, hey, what was the best, hey mommy, daddy, like what was the best part of your day and why? And they'll start using like more substance driven questions, which I learned from you, brother James. Like I learned from you guys, I'm just a student of the game.
Yeah, and what you're talking about is just, you're essentially in that particular, in the example you just used, you're using presuppositional language, presupposing that multiple good things have happened.
Yeah.
And only allowing them to bring out an answer that is inside of that presupposition.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
It's
which is
like
interesting because as soon as you say that, the brain might not have thought about it that way, but as soon as you ask the question in that context, the brain goes, "Oh God, a lot of good things must have happened if Nick's asking this question."
Yeah,
and it comes up with an answer.
Absolutely, and that's the same thing for like it's not can't but how phrase. Like I always tell people, this isn't mindset mumbo jumbo, right? Like the majority of humans, what's his name? Hoffman talks about the majority of humans start off with can't, and like not only is can't disempowering, but your mind will not stimulate solutions with can't in it. And so when you approach everything in life, whether it's in the business or family, with how, it's not only more empowering, but scientifically it stimulates solutions because it's an empowering word. And so that's just like the same thing,
Yeah, one of the things I really love, you and I have a similar mentor, Tony Robbins, and it actually goes right along with what we're talking about in regards to asking a certain question of your sibling. That is not just an open-ended question of, hey, how was your day? It's, you're building a relationship by asking them to reflect on the part of the day that they enjoyed the most.
Yeah.
Or you're having them, reflect on their high point moments. And what you're doing is you're bringing a question into their experience that's bringing an answer from the brain, because the brain is really just like a computer.
It's
no
an
matter
operating
what,
system.
Right? No matter what you ask it, it's going to give you an answer. And just kind of bring that back to Tony, is just the quality of your questions will be directly reflective. The quality of your life will be a complete reflection of the quality of questions you consistently ask yourself.
Yeah.
So
And
it's interesting that the questions can guide us and others. There was a question about, when you were little, if you were to give advice, I know you just gave a little bit of advice, you're still little, because we got Ty right here. I can see Evan popped in over here. He's got the hoodie. Do you have the hoodie on? I'm gonna get my hoodie on too. What's up, Evan? Yeah, dude, I knew I was gonna have a hoodie homie.
Hoodie homies.
A hoodie homie.
Ty's got his own hoodie.
Part of me is wondering if he thinks that's stupid that I just said that, and part of me is like, maybe he thinks it's cool. So I'm hoping for the latter. The idea of a brother supporting a sister in this age. Talk about supporting, how important people supporting you have been, and how you're paying that forward and supporting other people, and how some of these younger generations and individuals, husbands, wives, kids, listening to this call, how can they think about supporting other people as not something as they're giving something of their own up, but that by supporting others, they're actually attracting far more into their lives. Talk a little bit about the art of generosity, the ability to just lift other people up around you, and to look for ways to bring energy and excitement and love into relationships, especially for some of the younger brothers and sisters and kids who might, be in a place where they get their needs met around being confrontational with each other. Let me ask a better question. How might brothers and sisters, or brothers and brothers, how might they work together to create the experiences that they want to have? What would be some tips?
Yeah. So first, when you say, contributing, again, the majority of people think financially, right? Like they're like, oh, well, I don't have money to give. Well, you don't need money to contribute, right? Like at the end of the day, like I've met millionaires and billionaires, and I've met millionaires that are just not happy, right? Because they don't have that fulfillment or they don't have that love. And at the end of the day, all humans want is love. We want love and connection. That's all we want. And so, contributing, like interrupts in like this is a cool challenge. Like go interrupt a stranger's pattern and give them a compliment, because people aren't used to interacting with strangers anymore because we're on our phones. So like literally, if you go down the street and you say hi to a random person, they'll be like, what's wrong with that guy? Like it's crazy. This is the world we live in. And so like go interrupt someone's pattern and be like, dude, I love your shoes, or your hair looks amazing, or like, wow, your eyes are like super, super awesome. Like people just are blown away. It's cool to see people's reactions. In the airport, the guys and I, we have a game. It's called the Hi Game. And it's basically just like opening people. Hi, how you doing? And it's just like, you see the energy switch, dude. Like it's amazing. Like, it's like just like going up to people and they're in the motions, right? We're all in our own little world, and like, hey, how you doing? They're just like not used to that. And we play that game, and it not only just a game, but it helps us exercise our social skills, right? And helps us just keep asking questions, or just keep interacting with people. But for brothers and brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, I would say just just like support what they love. Support whatever makes them feel good. Ask your siblings, like, at the end of the day, what makes you feel good inside? Like what is an activity or something that you do that when you do it, like you forget that time even exists? Like what's that thing? Because I was at a the after party of an event I did at a pool party, and this kid came up to me. We were talking, and I was saying like, man, this past year my soul has been craving music. Like it's been craving to create music. And he stopped me. He goes, Nick. He goes, that's your inner child. Like that's Nick. Like that's Nick. Like that's your inner little man that is coming out and being himself. And so, I think that we all can make a successful career out of our inner child and what that intuition wants, but people just don't realize that. And so even with the parents, this may come off harsh, but literally sometimes your best interest isn't your kid's best interest. And that means later on in life, right? That means like I have a best friend that like his parents were like, you're going to go to college, you should be this and this and this. And he's like, well, my parents are fueling they're funding my college, so I got to do this. This is the path I have to take. And that's what I mean behind sometimes what your parents want best for you isn't like the best advice. And that sounds so harsh, right? But like it's like true. Like, man, you got to follow what truly drives you and makes you happy. Like maybe at first you got to work a 9 to 5, right? You got to work a job to fund it on the side. But I promise you, like when you wake up and you are passionate and you are pumped up about what you were doing, I always tell people I'd much rather continuously fail forward on something that I enjoy and something that I want to pursue than live in a life and work in a job that I hate. Because at the end of the day, money's money, right? But we have one chance at this life. Like, as we know right now, like we have one chance, and, time goes by so fast. And so, even for the parents, like I'll give you both sides of perspective. My mom, she was, Nick, as long as you're happy, I'm happy. Okay, cool. My dad was like, all right, Nick, you're happy, but you need to feed yourself. You need to be able to, you need to be able to feed yourself. Like that was my dad. And so I created a way where I can not only do things that I feel good, but make money at the same time. Like I can, and it's hard. Like I'm still working at it. Like I'm not where I want to be. And all of us, we're not where we want to be. But I would say like sometimes, like the opinions of others, like steers your course. Just think of like how many kids, like we were all kids once, just think of how many kids they grew up in life and they wanted to do this, right? It's like a sailboat. And it's a sailboat, and you're riding through life and you want to go this way, and one opinion or one thing, something says something that like just adjusts your course a little bit, and then you land in a totally different spot in the life like years later, right? Because of that one course, that one piece that just went that way instead of this way. Like we are literally, we live our lives through like the opinions of others, and we like kind of course correct our lives through the opinions of others. And my biggest advice is just follow this, like follow inside of you, because like I said, at the end of the day, money's money, but the quality of life and how happy you are at the end of the day is what really matters. But I want to know your thoughts. Like, what's your thoughts?
Well, on that thought, I think that there's to take it back to brothers and sisters. I'm gonna follow up on what you just said. Ask one more question, and I'm gonna open it up 2 questions from everyone who's on the Zoom call. So get your questions ready. This is me buying you some time to come up with some really great questions. Ty, you will be first. Okay. So not right now, but in less than 5 minutes. I love what you said, and taking it back to how a brother and a sister can support each other, celebrate each other's wins, and be really happy for the more that you can be happy for each other. As many of you know, I have a brother, and he now is part of the team of the Brother James mission, and part of him being involved in this project is deep down in my heart knowing that there's something special about being connected to my brother, and that more than anything, I want to try and find ways to give him opportunities for his light to shine. Like, I really want him to be able to step into his own power, and it's not going to come from me telling him what to do. It's not going to come from me giving him advice. It's going to come from me laying out opportunities and not being attached to the way that he takes them. I'm going to provide opportunities. I'm going to do my best to be an example, but I'm not going to expect him to be a certain way. I'm not going to expect him to take certain things on the way that I would. And that has taken me the last 3 years of working together to really start to actually embody, even though I knew it intellectually. So I think as a brother or sister, look for ways to support and lift up your brothers and sisters. And this will be my last question for Nick, and then we'll open it up, is talk about the important, there's an opportunity I've been talking to the NGL, the Next Gen Leader Community. One of our calls, we were talking about how do you earn money? What's your greatest opportunity for financial gain as a teenager? And and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. What I shared with them is that one of my biggest inefficiencies of earning money and being able to have money work for me when I was a teenager is that I spent more time making life harder for my mom and dad by being in conflict with my brother. And if him and I would have worked together, we could have totally worked the system. So there's actually quite an advantage when you look at if the family is a business and a brother and a sister are in their teen years or in their years where they're getting allowance or they're getting anything, and they have to together as a team come to mom and dad with ideas, with asks, that it makes no sense to be divided on that front. It really hurts the opportunity for each of the individuals. Whereas if the brother and sister or brother and brother can make an actual conscious effort to work together like they would with a sports team or like they would with their own schooling, that actually they become a force that can go to parents and have a mature conversation about allowance, about finances, about budgeting, about trips, about adventures, all those things. And when I look at myself and I look at my friends and I look at teens even now, they're just misplaying the game, totally misplaying it. And I'm just curious what you think when you look back on how you and your brothers and sisters, and then how you then interact with your parents. What are your thoughts on what I just said in regards to that?
Yeah, so I have 2 things that I'll hit on with that question. And the first thing is I love what Fam Abundance does for one of the reasons is I wasn't exposed to the entrepreneurship mind as a kid. Every single day, I saw my mom walk through the door at 5:30. I saw my dad walk through the door at 3:30. The 9 to 5, whatever it was. My dad worked 5 to 3, worked early in the morning. And so I wasn't exposed to the entrepreneurship mindset because it's definitely a mindset to view things differently, right? There's a big difference between a 9 to 5 worker's mindset and an entrepreneur's mindset. It's very, very different, right? And so my whole life, I didn't see any entrepreneurship. And so that's why I love Fan Abundance, is because these kids are around. That's what it is, right? Entrepreneurs are the future of the world. That's what we're going to do. And so for them to just always be around and that helps stimulate their mind on how they can make money, and they start looking at allowance differently and value, right? That's what I love about Fan Abundance, because you guys are cultivating that entrepreneurship mindset. So for me, I didn't have that. And so like the way I was introduced to entrepreneurship was a mentor. So it wasn't really my family. My brother, like, so my brother's about 6 years older than me. And let's just say like my brother had the entrepreneurship mindset, but always did it in the illegal way. Like, dude, like always, like entrepreneur, right? Wanted to do, like never wanted to work for anyone, but always did it in that way. And the one thing you said you were talking about earlier with your brother that it took you 3 years to realize, like I think the one thing I pulled from it is like you can only lead the horse to the water, right? Like you can only do so much. You can only lead them to the water. You can't force them to drink. And so, for example, like without going in super detail, but like my brother, he was 6 years older than me. When I got out of high school, we just started getting close. Like we were just in the age where we can kind of like go back and forth with each other. And then, let's just say he came back to life 10 times, like died and came back to life 10 times because of the things he was doing. And now he's in prison and I don't talk to my brother. And, you know, for me being this positive role model, I'm like, how can I not get through to you? Like, how can you not look at me and be like, dude, like I got to go this way and not this way. Like, you know, like, and I took that on myself at first. I was like, man, like this is a big weight. Like this is my fault. And then I realized like, you know, some people just have their paths and like, I can only do so much, you know, like, and so I do what I can. Like I was able to video chat him like this past Christmas and just like, you know, give him a couple words, but I can't like, you can only do so much. And so like, I want people to take a sense of comfort in that. Like you may try your best to put to veer this person down this one road, but like, if they don't take the bite of what you're giving them, like it's not you, you know? And so, for me, like, I just found that finding even like brotherly like figures, like even like yourself, you know, and McCarthy's like a dad figure to me, you know, like even finding these people that don't replace these people, but just have the right things that you want to be around, you know, like have the right mindset and the right attributes and the right work ethic and the things that you want to be like. You like that's like the key. Like look at people, whatever industry you want to be in, but look at people that you want to be like when you're older, that have the things you have or that, you know, are working towards the things that you want. Because, you know, my life, like I always say, it takes a village. Like I didn't do this on my own. I was a byproduct of my environment. And so, you know, I kind of went off on a tangent, but I just wanted to hit
all right.
both parts.
Well, and I'm going to open it up for questions. And it's interesting to think about Tyler and Emmy, who are they're 3 years apart? Oh, you're 4 years apart. Okay, Tyler, how old are you? Can you say it?
10.
10. Emmy, how old are you?
6.
Okay. Tyler, what's your question for Nick, buddy?
What's the heaviest weight you can curl on your finger?
Hold on. Can we just get straight to the important stuff?
I think the heaviest I curled on my arm was 50 pounds.
Oh.
50 pounds, Ty.
It's probably as much as Emmy weighs.
It's more.
Good
It's like what Tyler weighs.
Question. Anybody else? Yeah, good question. I personally am much lower in my weightlifting with one finger than Nick is.
No, I've adapted.
You've adapted, yes. You have. Your finger is very strong, dude. I noticed that right away because like we'll pound and I'll be like, I could hurt his finger, but you seem to really know how to like position your finger in every movement. It's watching you.
I gotta get this human meat form that I'm in, you know? That's what we are. We're just like a meat body and we got a consciousness.
I don't know if I told you this. I think I told someone else, maybe it was you, that after Breck, after we did the Fan Abundance and Go Abundance event, we were all at Mike's for one day and I got to see you like be in, you know, normal kind of chill mode.
Nick, yeah.
And what was most extraordinary was watching you wake up. And I wasn't like watching you wake up, but like after you woke up and were out of the couch, out of the movie theater, and you came out.
My favorite spot.
You know, you were in shorts, you're in a shirt, and I was like, man, it's so easy to forget because usually we're all in events when we see you.
Yeah.
How incredible of a human being you are to just like get out of bed, get off the couch in the movie theater, come out, be one of the boys, you know, like just move around, be who you are, man. It's like watching you live and thinking about, you know, having 2 arms and hands and legs and feet, and how often I take it for granted. I was sitting like in the back watching. I was like, man, I am watching one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen in my life. And it would be so easy for me to miss it. Like it would be so easy for me to miss it right now. But like I just watched, and then kind of watched the routine of like pulling upstairs, and then like, and Don and Ratmir are just fantastic homies for you to have. Like they're always, so anyways, where was I going? You have a strong one finger, and just you have other parts of your whole physiology that you've really used to be able to live the life that you live. It's amazing. So
Yeah, thanks.
sorry, I went off on my own little gratitude challenge right there.
That. But like I think real quick, just to piggyback off that, right? Like if I wasn't in the shape I am, like life would be harder, you know? Like so like that keeps me in check too, because I'd be like a little roly poly. You'd have to roll me around, you know?
And that would be not as
wouldn't be
not as inspiring.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? Does anyone else have a question? Wendy.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can.
And Evan's here. He's just on the side there.
Good to see you, brother.
Hey, Nick, thank you so much for spending the time. When we first met you out in Breckenridge at the Fan Abundance, Evan was the first like, wow, Nick is amazing. And just so, you're so impressive and inspiring. And I just want to thank you for being in Breckenridge and then having this call. And I was excited for this as well, because you just are so uplifting. So first of all, I just wanted to say thank you. You made a comment, actually. Well, so I have two. One is a statement, and then one is a question. So the statement is I always believe there should be a doctor in the family. So I told my kids, okay, Jillian, you have to be a doctor, or Evan, you have to be a doctor. I'm happy to say that my kids have told me they don't want to do that, and they're just doing their own thing, which is fine. So I'm doing something right, that they're doing their own thing. So now I have to. So somebody in the Fan Abundance group has to be a doctor, because I have to. But anyway, it's just a statement there. I think something. Yeah. But you had said something earlier. You're like, well, I haven't achieved everything that I want to achieve, and then you kind of went on a segment of where you want to go. And because when I see you, I perceive you as successful, in shape, living the life that you want to live, with a peer group, with supports, those that you want to strive for, and those that you are bringing up as well to be that shining light to. So it was a question to me, like, wow, because I see you as living what you want to live. So when you made the comment of it's not where I want to be, so my question is, well, where do you want to be? Because wow, you've already done the so that's my question. Where are you going? What are you trying to go or be or do? Or
yeah, it's a great question. Thanks. So for me, like I'm 22, and I always say this phrase, I may not have legs, but I'm here to make a massive footprint in the world. And so the one thing that I've been focusing on right now is I'm writing an album, and it's a bunch of depth, meaningful substance rap and hip hop. And because I can touch, so many people on stage, but not everybody goes to personal development seminars. And so the whole world listens to music. I mean, cultures shift because of music. And so I want to, become a successful recording artist as well. And so I can get my message out even more. And then, I don't know. I think that's my last real big dream. That was my biggest dream as a child, kid, was to be a singer and a rapper. But literally I want to go down as the biggest, I want to be like a Gandhi. I want to be people who shift the world. And so I just don't think I'm there yet. And kind of, it's a curse and a blessing, because as hustlers, we always want more and there's never enough, right? But this keeps me keeps me progressing and driving forward. But yeah, I want to. My goal with speaking, I go back to China in May. I'm going to China like 3 times a year. My goal is to like take over Asia, not only in speaking, but start collabing with the biggest Chinese artists, the biggest Chinese rappers and singers, and totally blowing up over there. And then that will trickle back into America and give me more power and leverage to get, you know, my message across. But I think where I want to go is just like, what I mean by that is I need to touch more people. Like, I just want to touch more people and get out there. Like, the more I get out there, but like, I don't get me wrong. Like, I'm fulfilled right now, and I feel very good, and I'm very proud of myself from where I am. But I just know that like, I gotta strike the iron while it's hot, and you know, I'm just scratching the surface, and the only way I can keep doing it is just keep going, you know. But I feel great. Like, if you're wondering, like, I feel great about where I am. And, you know, like you said, the support team I have around me, and I get to do things like these and connect with people. So, you know, I'm in a very happy place.
That's fabulous. I love it. Do you speak Chinese?
Yeah. So I learned a little bit of Chinese. So I'll open my seminars with like a Chinese line, because it's like a respect factor that I took the time to learn their language. And so like, actually my Chinese name is Nika. So Nika is Nick. And then my last name, you know what my last name is. So they gave me a last name that says warrior. So it's Sundo Shi. So like, I'm Nika Sundo Shi. And so like, I'll go and say I'm in Beijing and I'm up on stage. I'll be like, Beijing, the Pengyamen Nimen Hao, Woshu Nika Sundo Shi. And that means like, hello, my friends of Beijing. I'm Nick Santonastasso. So just any way that I should let people know I care a little bit more and provide a little bit more value.
I love it. Thank you.
Thanks for your question.
Yeah,
Great question.
that's awesome.
Hi, Mom.
Thanks, Wendy.
She didn't hear me. She didn't know I was talking to her.
Does anybody else have a question for Nick?
Hi, Mike. Over there.
I had a question and then he forgot it.
What? Do you have a question,
What
bud?
was it?
Does anybody else have a question? 'Cause
Yeah,
Tyler
someone
already
else
went.
could go.
Great, I'm gonna go.
Oh.
So you were talking about failure.
Yeah.
And like, Ty, do you have your question? Because I've got mine ready. You got your question ready? Okay, keep thinking. This is gonna be a quick hitter. Nick, 60 seconds or less.
Okay.
Why do you think failure is the seeds to success?
Yeah, you're not gonna win 100% of the time. And so I think of everything as a muscle. And if you're not exercising the muscle of failing, the next time you fail, it's gonna keep you on your butt. It's gonna keep you there because you're not used to it. And that's the biggest advantage I had. My parents helped me exercise the muscle of falling on my face and getting back up. So when things were hard, I was used to it. It was just like, yeah, like this is supposed to be hard. And so when you're expecting challenges and you're expecting failure, but you realize that like failure is what pivots you. Like Nelson Mandela says, I don't lose, I only win or learn. When you view life as winning or learning, that even when you fall on your face, it's so valuable because it pivots you and you evolve. And so we need to exercise the muscle of failing forward and falling on our face. And most importantly, life is all about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Love it. I'm writing a song.
That was a quick hitter. Boom.
That was great, dude. Yeah, I love that. I read a book 4 years ago now, a book called Bold by a guy named Peter Diamandis. And in that book, it actually reflects a lot of what Tim Ferriss says inside of the Tim Ferriss Show podcast, which is fail fast, fail forward, and fail often. So for everyone who listens to this call, it's not just about having failure. It's about positioning yourself to take risks, to have the right types of failure that bring out the very best in you because of what it is you learn through having the failure. So fail fast. So fail as often as you can. And as often as you can, try and fail forward. So take steps, take risks that are going to move you closer to the goal. And then fail fast, fail forward, and fail often. So fail fast is get over it quickly. Fail fast is, hey, you're going to fail, get over it quickly. Fail forward, try and be intelligent with your failure, and fail often. Fail and know it's going to happen over and over again. And the more that you fail, the closer you actually get to the end goal, which is not only the actual destination, but inside of that, if you embrace failure, if you bring failure closer to you so you can learn from it, you at the same time of experiencing failure, start to gain more connection with yourself and with other people. Because when you fail, you really have to learn about yourself. And so much of the journey is about learning about yourself so that you can love yourself a little bit more, so you can love other people just a little bit more. And being perfect is not the way to do that. It's going out there and taking risks and having that failure. And I know you've had to do that a lot, man, like jumping on stages, like singing, right? Snowboarding, like, so I could keep going. Tyler, I'm going to hand it back off to you, buddy. You got your question ready? Nope.
Snowboard question.
How good have you got at snowboarding?
I'm going snowboarding the 7th in a couple days, so I'm practicing with my new board. I'll send you some videos in Mount Hood.
Definitely. And we'll post those videos for sure.
Yeah. But the one thing to touch on what you said is I just, like, for those watching now and those that will watch, like, take a sense of comfort that, like, failure is scary, right? Because the number one, you know, one of the biggest fears is fear of failure. So, like, don't think you're, like, weird because you're scared of failure. It's like, it's our human brain. Like, that's us.
There's so many different types of failure too. There's so many different types of failure. Like in this community, one of the ways that we experience failure is the investments that we make. You buy a rental property, you invest in a business, you do the best you possibly can with taxes, but you don't do that well one year versus the next year. You're always, the financial is one way.
Yeah.
I think so we think about that in this community, obviously, because finances are such a big part of what allows us to have the freedom to go to the events that we go to have the time freedom, to have the freedom to connect with our family in the way that we do in this community. Potentially one of the more challenging types of failures is the one where you put yourself physically in front of other human beings to judge you.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because you know that in that audience, they're absolutely, one of the voices inside of their head is, what do I not like about this person? What's better about me than this? Like, I'm looking at him, he's got it all together, but I'm still going to hold on to this thing that maybe I'm better at than him. And I'm going to look for the things that I can, like, these are voices that go on in my head, is like, and I think the way that I'd simplify that is, I'm competitive in my own mind. I want to know that I'm good enough, right?
Yeah.
And so when you get on stage, there's someone like myself who's navigating those voices in the audience, who's like, this guy's awesome. How can I be awesome too? Boy, what can I not like about him, to build myself up, right? Luckily, I've matured enough to be like, oh, that's just nonsense. I'm going to love on this guy as much as I can because he's awesome. But I'm curious, just like, you know, when you put yourself out there, when you're physically putting yourself in front of people, how do you overcome that voice inside that says maybe they won't like me?
Yeah, I think one, it's confidence in your preparation, because if you're confident and you know you're gonna bring the fire, then you're good, right? But also, like, for dancing, like I started, Don got me hip hop dance lessons, so we want to be hip hop dancers, right? And like our first lesson, like I was like, listen, like, this involves you. We got to drop our ego, like, not care. Like, there's little kids watching us laughing. Like, dude, who cares? Like, and the background behind this, I was like, let's just do more things that are fun, right? Like dancing and stuff. And so I made a post about it. I made a post and I was like, listen, this was uncomfortable. I purposely put myself in a dance class, or followed through with the dance class, because one, I know it's gonna like, I need to drop my ego and realize, like, I don't care what anyone else thinks of me. I'm just gonna ride with it. And I knew that, like, I like to teach people through action. Like, I don't like to say, like, you do this, this, and this. So, like, I wanted to show people firsthand, like, I'm in a dance class. I look like a goof, but I don't care. And you shouldn't care either, kind of thing, you know?
That's such a great example, dude.
Thanks.
And I remember that video. That's
just totally awesome. Can I just say that's just totally awesome? You signed up for a dance class.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome.
Thank you.
I mean, that's awesome.
I know, it's unheard of, really.
It's like, why not, right?
I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah,
Oh.
so I
won't even sign up for a dance class. Jeez.
let's do it.
Well, now you
We
will.
should maybe at the next Fan Abundance event, we should have a dance class and get a dance teacher to teach us a little routine.
Oh, we have goat yoga, so you might as well. Let's do dance.
Yeah.
Let's,
Yeah, man.
Wendy, nicely played there. Oh, hey, is that Don right behind you?
Yeah.
Dude. What's up, Don?
Say what's up, brother James. Said what up, Don. He said what's
Oh,
up,
yeah,
brother.
I just realized you have AirPods in. My bad.
I
Dude, we were
apologize,
just
yeah.
talking about the hit. Oh, he can't hear me. Never mind.
I heard about dancing. I'm down to do some dance routines.
See? We're in.
I love it. Well, hey, brother, we want to be super respectful of your time. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm gonna pass the baton one more time through the virtual streamlines of Zoom, which earlier today I was talking to someone. I'm like, how is it even possible that we're able to do this?
Yeah,
I mean,
wild.
talk about gratitude. Like,
Wild,
we're
Chris.
all on a video chat
Yes, sir.
looking at you right now.
We
It's
love
incredible.
you, Nick.
Oh,
you did.
hey, who is that? Who's saying that?
This is the Brahman family, Tiger and Tatiana and Ocean.
We love
Tiger,
you.
Tatiana, and Ocean, please ask a question. What's your question for Nick?
Nick, what's your bedtime routine?
Yes, great
Oh,
question.
that was a good one. My bedtime routine. Oh man. I'm all over in life. I'm gonna be super transparent. Like my schedule's all over and I don't go to bed. I look at my shrine of Mike McCarthy in my closet and I bow down to it. No, I'm just kidding. No, before bed, I'm always just self-reflecting and kind of like what's going on the next day. You know, what can I do tomorrow that's gonna, kind of get a head start on the day, because clarity is power, right? So when we have kind of a vision of what we need to do the next day or what we want to do the next day, it helps us get started immediately. So just maybe start planning out the day or start reflecting on the day, reflecting on the wins that you had, or what went on this past day and what can you do better to improve. So it's kind of just like a time for me to chill, self-reflect, and see what's next. That's a great question.
Nice. Yeah, great question. I'll throw out there a really great resource I've been using for years. I was just going through. I have 4 of
Healthy
them.
vegan
And
vibes.
I just transferred over to the digital version. Sorry, it took me a minute to think of that. So I've been using the 5-minute journal.
Okay.
And I've actually used more complex planners, but because of traveling and because of having kind of an upside down schedule, the longer 15, 20 minutes before bed and 30 minutes in the morning it's hard to stay consistent. The 5-minute journal is just that. It's literally 5 minutes. So Tiger, 5-minute journal, buddy. I'm sure that your dad has a handful of those around the house. And if he doesn't, then I'm sure he can get them. His bedtime routine sounds just like mine. So bedtime routines, how about a morning routine really quick?
Morning routine also, not only self-reflection, but I'm thinking about gratitude. I'm a very grateful person, and so maybe I don't reflect about gratitude in the morning, but I do reflect like all day. Like I look up into the sky and see how like crazy life is. But in the morning, not only get your body moving, but get your body to get the sunlight to touch you. Because that's just how human nature is, that we need to get inside, and that'll wake us up. And so, wake up and immediately get in the sunlight so you don't have that grogginess and you're tired. I think just getting moving. And then I don't let any other liquids enter my body until I drink water, because you need to lubricate your organs and have them ready. I won't drink coffee in the morning, because coffee is like a fire alarm setting off really early in the morning for your body. It's not very good for you. But if I do drink coffee, I drink the water before it. That's like my rule.
Yep. Great rule. And we have a friend named Hal Elrod who wrote this book called The Miracle Morning. The Miracle Morning was then transcribed and put into a family version called Charms by Mrs. Lindsay McCarthy, who's right here in the lower right-hand corner of my screen.
AKA mom.
AKA mom. Yes. I know that when I'm there, she feels like my mom too, because sometimes I leave like dirty dish on the counter or something, and then I come
Yeah,
back
some
and
of my
I'm so
clothes. She's like, Nick, I
I'm
got your
so
clothes.
appreciative.
We love you.
We do love you a lot. That is, do we have any last questions for the artist currently known as Santo?
I love you.
Dude, I love the name, so thanks for making it so easy.
You got it, right? It's got to be easy.
Dude, thanks for having a name that you can actually use like inside of your own branding. Beautiful.
Yeah, right?
Oh, I see the Broman family.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Bromans. You're still on mute, buddy. I really want to hear what you're saying now.
It's
You're
on
on
mute.
mute.
You got to unmute it. You got to unmute your phone.
There you go.
Okay, now can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I want the Miracle Morning book too.
You want the Miracle Morning book and
I
the
want the 5-minute journal book. Yeah, for kids.
oh, a 5-minute journal for kids. Well, it's already
Good
pretty
idea.
simple. So Tiger, I was gonna say send you. Tiger, if you send me your address, even though I already have it, I want you to send it to me via text or via email, and I will send you a 5-minute journal.
Yay.
They're
Hi,
actually
Wendy.
Thank you.
Brother James.
Yeah,
There is a kid's version of the 5-minute journal, I'm pretty sure.
there is a kids version. Tiger, I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna look at the kids version and then decide which one's better for you. Oh, I just saw Ocean run by.
I think there's about to be a Fam Abundance version of it.
Buddy, I think that's an amazing idea.
Me too.
I've really been utilizing the virtual app because I noticed that traveling, the less things I can have in my back. I realize how much, like how valuable the backpack space is when you're traveling. Dude, just the extra book, it just, my whole feng shui just goes down the drain. So the more digital stuff. Hey, buddy, thanks so much for being with us, man. You're truly an inspiration to myself, to our community, to the world, and we're so grateful that we get to call you a brother, and that we get to help support and connect with you along this journey of inspiring millions and millions of people all around the world to live braver, more courageous lives that help us to connect and create a better world for all of us. So thank you so much for being who you are and in the way you show up to everything you show up to.
Thank you, brother. You show up, Brother James, every time too. I've been saying that, but like I said, grateful for the opportunity. Grateful for my tribe, my support team.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll send this call out to our community. We'll have it uploaded to YouTube, audio, video in the next like 24 to 36 hours. We'll be sending out to via email to our Go Abundance tribe, to our Fam Abundance tribe, post it on Facebook. We'll tag you. And I don't know how to stop recording, so we're just gonna leave the meeting.
Okay. McCarthy's, love you.
Hey, can we give Nick a big round of applause, everybody? If you're still on, big round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
Great job.
All right.
Awesome. See you, everybody.
Love you guys. All right. Bye-bye.
Awesome.
Later.
Bye, guys.